How's the royal family? I pray that everyone is doing well. Well, my royal family, I've been doing some deep research on this case, which is quite disturbing. And this is one of these stories that miss many of our radar because we are always digging for stories. And this is a very tragic what happened to our royal daughter here being trafficked for sex as a teen. Now she is facing life in prison for killing basically her pimp. So I had to really dig because there are articles, but there are, depending on how the person feel about her, conflicting stories. So I had to put it all together. So I will be reading from various articles. So we're going to get into this first one, and then I have a few videos to show. So, Crystal Kaiser, Wisconsin teen who fatally shot alleged, check this out, alleged, even Black Lennox started saying alleged, you'll see when I get deeper into it, traffic accuser of abusing her and numerous other black girls face life in prison. Crystal Kaiser, now 19, appeared in court on murder charges last June after immediately killing the man who she claims abused her and trafficked her for sex. Authorities said Kaiser shot Randy Ballard twice in the head before torching his body and speeding off in his BMW. Now, the teen is facing life behind bars for what she insists was an act of self-defense. I didn't intentionally try to do this, Kaiser told the Washington Post. I'm going to pin the Washington Post article, and I mean, it's long. It's hella long. I didn't read every single thing, but I read quite a bit of it. So, as we continue on, which did a deep dive in the teen's troubling case. The story has largely failed to make national headlines, but has rocked the quiet lakefront town of Kenosha, Wisconsin, to its core. The community, a former factory town, that shit don't matter. I don't care about all that. On June 5th, 2018, Ballard's neighbors called police to report that his modest one-story home was up in smoke. Emergency crews arrived to find his charred remains were visible gunshot wounds to his head. Kaiser, who was just 16 when she met the 33-year-old man, was ultimately charged with arson and first-degree intentional homicide, and offenses that carry a mandatory life sentence in Wisconsin. The teen told police she was upset and tired of Ballard touching her and accusing him of sexually abusing her on multiple occasions and filmed it. And she wasn't the only one. The Post reported that Ballard, 33, was under investigation for child pornography and sex trafficking at the time of his murder. In February of 2018, authorities arrest him on charges of child enticement and second-degree assault of a child after uncovering evidence that he had abused several other young African American girls like Kaiser. Despite all this, the city district attorney awaited to prosecute the accused sex trafficker, allowing Ballard to remain free for 3 months following his arrest. The night Kaiser visited his home, she said Ballard tried to force her to have sex and pin her down. When she refused, that's when she fired. Under federal law, any child who is brought or sold for sex is a trafficking victim, regardless of circumstances. The Post notes that in most states, sex trafficking victims have the option of what's called an affirmative defense, meaning they could be acquitted on certain charges if they can prove they committed a crime because they were being trafficked. I'm gonna leave it right there, and we're gonna go right into the first few videos, and then I have something else to read too as well.
Story out of Wisconsin is making national headlines this morning. A teenager there is facing life in prison for killing her alleged sex trafficker. According to multiple reports, Crystal Kaiser was just 17 years old when she was arrested back in June of 2018 for fatally shooting Randy Voller III and setting his house on fire in Kenosha, Wisconsin. In a recent Jailhouse interview with the Washington Post, Kaiser said she killed Voller because he was using her for sex trafficking. And when she didn't want to have sex on the night of his death, he pinned her to the floor. The Post also said that Kaiser was just 16 when she met 33-year-old Voller, who allegedly placed ads online to traffic her to other men. Months before his death, Voller was arrested on charges that included child sexual assault, but he was let go without bail. And during the course of their investigation, police found hundreds of child pornography videos and more than 20 home videos of Voller with underage black girls. We've had hundreds of comments on this story, with the majority of people outraged for this young woman. Angela here thinks she deserves an award, saying, "Do you know how many teens she probably saved from this man?" And so many comments were about how our justice system needs a lot of work. Alex says a teenager escaping hell is punished. Good job, Wisconsin. Now, the Kenosha County District Attorney says he's been pressured to drop all the charges from the very beginning of this case, but believes Voller's killing was actually premeditated, and Kaiser bragged about it, allegedly, on social media. And she's scheduled to have her trial start in this coming March on the 16th. You know, the nation will be watching this one closely.
Yeah, this is tricky because, I mean, if her allegations are true, can you imagine the trauma she went through? That's why there's so many people who are watching this one, right?
All right, my royal family. So, let's get into this next video. Now, this video here is June 13th, because the first one was, I should have told y'all, the first one that y'all were watching was December 20th, 2019. So now, this video here is June 13th, 2018. This is when everything initially happened, and if I'm correct, based on my research, he was killed on June 5th. All right, so let's see what's going on here.
Ted, the teenager, is being held on a $1 million cash bond and now faces a mandatory life sentence if she's found guilty. In shackles, Crystal Kaiser, a 17-year-old from Milwaukee, shuffles into a Kenosha courtroom.
This is a crime, the most serious crime known to man, taking of another human being's life.
Kaiser is accused of killing 34-year-old Randall Voller III in his Kenosha home on June 5th.
Not only do you commit a set of really heinous crimes, you light a body on fire when you're not sure if the person's deceased or not.
Responding officers described Voller's body as badly charred and unrecognizable.
Ms. Kaiser, you understand those conditions of your bond?
Yes. Prosecutors say Kaiser tried to wipe her hands clean before stealing Voller's BMW, laptop, and some cash.
She had watched several crime shows, and so thought to herself, I better cover my tracks, and so she washed her dishes and she cleaned up the things she thought would be evidence.
Hours later, police say Kaiser boasted about what she'd just done, writing on Facebook, "This is my mugshot."
Bragging on Facebook Live that takes place in this case, the sort of celebration of parts of this criminal offense.
Telling viewers that she was not afraid to kill again. Also sharing Fox 6's original story. Police also say Kaiser went to her boyfriend's house and stated that she had shot the white dude, saying she was sick of him touching her.
We do believe that there's more to the story that hasn't been presented yet.
Certainly if you come to this community from another community and you shoot someone twice in the head and then light them on fire, there's going to be severe consequences.
And police say they're still trying to piece together exactly how Kaiser and the victim met, what their relationship was. Meantime, we were in touch with one of Volar's friends who tells us he was an intelligent and caring man. Live in Kenosha.
All right. So, we're going to get deeper into it before I play these last two videos. I have an article that I'm going to read from The Root, but I'm going to read this article off of my laptop because the letters are a little bit too close, and y'all know I'm dyslexic. So it's a little bit easier because I can adjust my laptop a lot easier here. So this actual article was posted last Friday. Okay. For months, Wisconsin police were aware that 34-year-old Randy Vollard had hundreds of child porn videos, some of them showing girls who seemed as young as 12. They knew he had his own home videos showing him sexually abusing underage black girls, at least 20 recordings featuring about a dozen different girls, according to case files. Crystal Kaiser, who was 16 at the time she met Vollard, was one of those girls. Crystal Kaiser eventually shot Randy Vollard dead. Now, in a case that could have major ramifications for further sex trafficking victims, Crystal, now 17, faced up to life in prison for the murder of Vollard, who, she said, attempted to rape her the night she shot him twice in the head, set his home on fire earlier this month. A Wisconsin judge ruled the abuse Crystal says she suffered and could not be used as an affirmative. They said that it could not be used as affirmative defense. Okay, you remember what I read the first article? They saying if you're being sexually trafficked and you commit a crime on these people who trafficking you, that they're saying that she can't use that defense in the murder trial. As the Washington Post reports in a stunning, I'm telling you, stunning exploration of the case, affirmative defense allow victims to try to prove in court that their crime occurred because of the abuse they experienced. If the judge ruling stand, Crystal will get no such opportunity. The court. Okay, so where are we at? So, the court, Judge Dave P. Wilkins said is satisfied that a blanket affirmative defense to all acts leads to an absurd result. But a deep view of Crystal's case reveals that most absurd part of this objectively homicide case is that Vollard could have been free to abuse Crystal at all. As the Post reports, Vollard was arrested, charged with child. Okay, I did read that too, but I'm gonna read it over. I think it's necessary because it's gonna have some stuff in here included. Child enticement, second-degree sexual assault of a child, using a computer to facilitate child sex crimes on February 22nd, 2018, despite the fact that he was a suspect of human trafficking and child pornography. A mountain of evidence, including statements from one of his alleged victims. He never once spent a night in jail. Released the same day, Vollard paid no bail and was never summoned to court. It took 3 months before police forwarded the case to the district attorney. 3 damn months. Who never moved to take Vollard into custody. So what we have here. Weeks later, Crystal would kill Vollard in his home. She said he drugged her and attempted to rape her. And she said they said she planned the murder so she could steal his BMW. More than a year later, Crystal awaits trial in jail. Her bond is set at $1 million. Crystal case, yeah, it does remind us of what happened to Centoya Brown. So they do talk about what happened to Centoya Brown, and I'm going to skip that. And let me see what they have here. So anyway, they said Crystal's case is an example of how sex trafficking victims are not kidnapped and held captive, not chained and smuggled across borders, but groomed by someone they trust and manipulated into believing they are the ones to blame for the abuse. Let's see what else we have here. Okay, let's get a little bit of background about her, because the question that I had asked is, how did she get in this situation? She had a family. Okay, a talented violinist, Crystal and her siblings were physically abused by her mother's boyfriend as children. Her mother fled with her children from Gary, Indiana to Milwaukee as the family struggled to make ends meet. And as the abuse Crystal suffered as a young girl began manifesting in her own romantic relationships, she posted an ad on Backpage.com saying she needed money for snacks and school supplies, Vallard reported. Instantly, Vallard responded. Vallard began grooming the 16-year-old who claimed she was 19 at first. Let's see what we have here. Before long, she was seeing Vallard every other week. She said he was always complimenting her brown eyes, her beautiful wigs, and her 104-pound body. He took her on dates and let her order steaks. He brought her a heart-shaped locket, got her a phone, and let her drive his cars. She didn't need to post on Backpage again. He took her shopping, gave her cash she could share with her sister, sometimes $500 at a time. She made excuses to Nelson and her mom about where the gifts were coming from. She knew that Vallard Vallard expected in return. Okay, he wasn't just giving her the money just to be giving her the money. It was for sex. But she didn't think that it was wrong. He was the only friend that I actually had, she said. Vallard didn't stop once he found out her real age, and his treatment of her got progressively worse. He fed her acid, she said, and started threatening to kill her if she left. He demanded sexual acts in return for the help he gave her, including bail money after she was caught driving a car her brother reportedly stolen. She fled the police once and she was pulled over. He also began selling her to other men, she confessed to the Post. Vallard, she said, sold her through Backpage.com to other people. She said he would post ads, then drive her to hotels in Milwaukee where men her age or older would spend 30 minutes with her. She gave Vallard the money she earned. Sometimes, she said, Vallard would arrange for her to meet more than one man in a day. She told him to get the money. He told her, boy, they be mixing up. He told her to get the money first, then to text him once I was finished, she said. When asked why she obeyed Vallard, Crystal answered devastatingly simple, because he was a grown-up and I wasn't, she said, so I listened. The allegations that Vallard trafficked underage black girls is backed up by his own bank. Woo, this gets deep. When called police after his death, unaware. Now, the bank called the police unaware of this man's death, that he was killed, flagging the fact that Valor had made $1.5 million in transfers over the course of 6 months, a pattern the bank thought might be linked to human trafficking. Police knew some of this. They knew another girl, a 15-year-old, had came forward about Valor, saying he had paid her money for sex since she was 14, and she told police he knew how old she was because when she suggested he find women his own age, he elaborated on why he preferred the bodies of young girls like her, wrote the Post. But Valor remained free, continuing to abuse Crystal and perhaps others as they investigated the case. Meanwhile, Crystal never came forth to the law enforcement. The police had lost her trust long ago. Okay, let's get into these other few more videos I have to show. Okay, this one was updated December 18th, 2019.
I believe the $1 million cash bond is appropriate.
12 News was there in court when $1 million bail was set for Crystal Kiser. The Milwaukee teen is charged with shooting, killing, and setting Randall Villar on fire in his Kenosha home last June. She was just 17 at the time.
And what do you think that people need to know about why he died?
The case now making national headlines, and in a jailhouse interview with the Washington Post, Kiser now alleges she killed Villar because he used her for sex trafficking. Supporters of Kiser say it was self-defense.
She had been trying to get out of the whatever arrangement that they had, and he was threatening to kill her.
In court last week, her attorney, a public defender, argued the murder falls under state law called affirmative defense, which acquits sex trafficking victims of certain crimes. But a judge disagreed, saying it only applies to prostitution or child trafficking cases.
You believe that she went there with a plan to kill Mr. Villar?
That's right.
From the start, Kenosha County District Attorney Mike Gravely says he's been pressured to drop all charges, but argues Villar's murder was premeditated and says she bragged about it after on social media.
And then during the course of the evening, she texts multiple people talking about how she is planning to do it, that she has Googled, and that it's going to create a splatter.
Villar's house here has since been torn down, but the district attorney says the day they found his body was the same day they were about to charge him with child sex crimes.
I mean, it's ridiculous that the police knew what was going on with Villar and allowed it to continue to.
If somebody commits crimes against you, even horrible crimes, that you aren't allowed to go and kill them in response.
In Kenosha, Hillary Mintz, WISN 12 News.
Kiser is facing life in prison if convicted. She is appealing the judge's latest defense ruling.
All right, let's keep rolling with it, my royal family. So, this very lengthy article that I'm going to pin for y'all from the Washington Post, I mean, it's deep. I'm going to finish reading the rest of it, but I want y'all to listen to Crystal Kiser speak from jail.
When you met Randy and you told me about some of the things that he did for you, what are some words that you would use to describe how he made you feel?
Exquisite.
Exquisite?
Yeah. Like, once I was younger, I had low self-esteem. I had social anxiety. And, like, just talking to people, it just, like, I get nervous and stuff.
But then when you met him, how did that change?
He made me feel good about myself.
How did he do that?
Write me stuff. Like a passionate sweetheart.
What makes you say sweetheart? Why is that the word you use?
Because he would buy me little candies and stuff and surprise me with stuff.
Crystal, if you could go back and change things, what would you change?
Not going to his house that night. Just went to my mom's house instead. And at the time I wasn't thinking straight. I was just trying to get away.
And what do you think that people need to know about why he died?
That it was a mistake.
All right, my royal family. So, let's go back over here. So, now, we have lately seen quite a few videos via YouTube. Many of us have put up videos where the enemy has raped and pillaged their own. And I'm talking about strictly sex. And they get a slap on the wrist, and it don't matter if it's a baby or a woman that's in her 90s or plus. We've been seeing a lot of that they don't get charged. And in this system, the enemy, especially the male, don't see any problem in taking sex or trafficking anyone for sex, because that is their world. So they are disgusted with her for, basically exposing and killing him, because we see that they drag their feet knowing what he have done, seeing the videos, and there's even some videos of her having sex with him. And we already know that they will groom them and everything. And they saying that is absolutely not a defense. What I'm trying to understand is, how are they going to push all of that to the side? That same DA that wants to charge her for life, how are you going to neglect? And he can see the footage too, what this animal did to her. See, you have to realize they identify themselves in this fuckery that they do in America. So they don't see a problem with it. The only problem that they slightly see with it is, you was a little bit too sloppy and you should have tightened up your game, and now you're forcing my hand where I'm going to have to do something to look like I care a little bit, because they don't want people coming down on them. So this is going to be a very interesting case to follow, but they want to talk about she torched him, she stole his vehicle, she got on via social media and bragged about it. How many times we see mass killers get on social media, do the most heinous things and kill up multiple people, and it's premeditated. They'll do a video before and after, send a manifest and all of that. That ain't nothing new. But this particular case, he was exclusively abusing our royal daughters. Where is the Me Too group? Like I said, this missed my radar. I did see some people post it when I was doing my research, but they've been trying to hide it. That's what pisses me off about these women's groups. They don't come and stand and unite it. We know what they all about. And so it's going to be a hell of a battle for our royal daughter. And then on top of that, she had a lot of troubling things going on at home. Even her brother got in trouble. So it's a lot of dynamics in that, because you would have to question yourself. This child is a gifted violinist, was going to a school of the performing arts, and her mother got some raggedy Negro up in her house, beating her ass and running off the children. I'm pissed with her mama too. I ain't giving nobody no motherfucking break. Stop dragging these Negroes in your house that don't support you, don't take care of you, coming in the house, screwing you, eating your food, and abusing your kids. Anybody get mad at me? I don't give a fuck. I keep it core over here. It was some janky shit going on in her life where they didn't have to uproot themselves and move out of another state. And the kids just running wild, doing God knows what. So it was like a perfect storm. You know, her mother dealing with her issues, they barely making it. And then she gets on back chat, prostituting herself out, and then someone get a hold of her and groom her. Then we find out she underage, so you don't give a fuck. You know, and first they'll give you big wobs and then they'll piecemeal you some stuff. I recognize game. I truly do. But again, my royal family, remember, like I said before, these type of crimes, and when they end up in the judicial system, 9 times out of 10, it's the enemy that has to come down with some type of ruling. They identify their self. Keep that on your frontal lobe. They look at they self because they know that they got some real twisted sexual energy, really twisted. And they don't see no problem with it because even with their own, they don't see no problem with it. They drag their feet even with their own. So what do they care when it's our own and that shit goes down? So I support her. And all that other added shit, I don't give a fuck. Challenge me on it. I'll drag you. I'll put up so many fucking videos about what these animals is really doing that'll make your stomach turn. Oh yeah, they out there. There's tons of them. I can make a whole channel. They wouldn't like what I report because I'll keep that shit real raw and real core. So, a royal daughter got a battle. This is another one of these stories that I and many will have to keep reporting to the royal family. So, my royal family, render your voice with your beautiful divine words. And it's always my royal family. I thank you for your love. I thank you for your support. And with that said, ashe. What a damn shame.